Hello students, in the previous video we have started to learn chapter 3 and we said that male reproductive system is made up of testis, accessory ducts, accessory glands and penis. Okay, these are the four components of male reproductive system. Okay, male reproductive system has four parts: one pair of testes, accessory ducts, accessory glands and male external genitalia. And in the previous video we have covered testes and accessory ducts. Okay, and today we are going to start with accessory glands of the male reproductive system, and then we will talk about external genitalia. Okay, so we have covered about testes. We have talked about testes in the previous video, and we have also learned male accessory ducts. Okay, accessory ducts of the male reproductive system, that we have covered in the last video. And today we will start with accessory glands of the male reproductive system, and then we will talk about external genitalia. So how many which accessory glands are there in male reproductive system? Okay, which are the accessory glands of male reproductive system? So one pair of seminal vesicle is there. One pair of seminal vesicle. Okay, not seminal plasma. One pair of seminal vesicles. One pair of seminal vesicle. One means single prostate, and one pair of bulbourethral glands. Okay, these are known as accessory glands of male reproductive system. One pair of seminal vesicles, one prostate gland and one pair of bulbourethral gland are known as accessory glands of male reproductive system. Okay, one pair of seminal vesicles, one prostate means single prostate, and one pair of bulbourethral glands are known as accessory glands of male reproductive system. Now, secretions of seminal vesicles and prostate. Secretion of seminal vesicles and prostate constitute seminal plasma, or they form seminal plasma. Okay, secretions of seminal vesicles and prostate will form seminal plasma, and seminal plasma is rich in fructose, calcium and enzymes. Seminal plasma is rich in fructose, calcium and enzymes. Okay, this fructose provide energy to the sperms. Calcium is essential for motility of the sperm, and enzymes are needed for activation of the sperm. Okay, so seminal plasma is rich in fructose, calcium and enzymes which are needed for energy of the sperm, for motility of the sperm and for activation of the sperm. And this seminal plasma is alkaline in nature. Seminal plasma is alkaline in nature, and mostly it is secreted by seminal vesicles and prostate. Mostly seminal plasma is secreted by seminal vesicles and prostate. Okay, one extra gland is there which is known as bulbourethral gland. This gland secretes the secretions which are useful in lubrication of the penis. Okay, the secretion of bulbourethral glands are essential for lubrication of the penis during sexual activities. Okay, so secretion of bulbourethral glands are essential for lubrication of penis during the sexual activity. So this is all about the accessory glands of the male reproductive system. So there are three accessory glands of the male reproductive system, namely seminal vesicle, which are in one pair, one prostate and one pair of bulbourethral gland. So seminal vesicles and prostate will form seminal plasma, or secretions of seminal vesicles and prostate will form seminal plasma, which is rich in fructose, calcium and enzyme. And secretion of bulbourethral glands are necessary for lubrication of the penis during the sexual activities. Okay, so this is all about accessory glands of the male reproductive system. Now let's talk about the external genitalia of the male reproductive system. External genitalia is known as penis, and this penis is made up of erectile tissue. Penis is made up of erectile tissue, and this erectile tissue is known as corpus spongiosum. Okay, penis is made up of specialized erectile tissue, and this erectile tissue is known as corpus spongiosum. Okay, this tissue helps in erection of the penis, due to which insemination can occur in the female reproductive tract. If this tissue becomes dysfunctional or non-functional, then the male will not be able to inseminate the female. Okay, if this tissue becomes non-functional, then the male will not be able to inseminate the female. So penis is made up of specialized erectile tissue known as corpus spongiosum. This tissue helps in erection of the penis, and if this tissue becomes non-functional, then the male cannot inseminate the semen into the female reproductive tract. Okay, so this is all about penis. Okay, so in this manner we have completed the male reproductive system. Male reproductive system has 4 parts, 1 pair of testes and accessory ducts that we have already covered in the previous video. And today we have talked about accessory glands of the male reproductive system and external genitalia of the male reproductive system. Okay, so in this manner male reproductive system is over. Now let's talk about female reproductive system. And female reproductive system is located in the lower part of the abdomen. It is located in the lower part of the abdomen. And how many parts are there? It has 1 pair of ovary, it has accessory ducts, it has external genitalia, and it has 1 pair of mammary glands. So mammary glands are also included in female reproductive system. Okay, so how many parts are there in female reproductive system? In female reproductive system, 1 pair of ovary is there, accessory ducts are there, external genitalia is there, and mammary glands are also a part of female reproductive system. So we'll begin with 1 pair of ovary, then we'll talk about accessory ducts, and then we'll talk about external genitalia and mammary glands later. So let's learn ovary first. So ovary is primary sex organ as well as endocrine gland. It works as primary sex organ also as well as it works as endocrine gland. Same like testis. Testis also works as primary sex organ as well as endocrine gland. As ovary produces ovum, so it is known as primary sex organ. As the ovary produces ovum, so it is known as primary sex organ. And it works as endocrine gland because it secretes estrogen and progesterone like hormones. Okay, so ovary secretes estrogen and progesterone like hormone. That's why it is known as endocrine gland. And it produces ovum. That's why it is known as primary sex organ. Okay, so 1 pair of ovary is located on each side of the uterus. 1 ovary is located on each side of the uterus. Okay, so on the lateral part of the uterus, ovary is located in the abdominal cavity. Okay, so 1 ovary is present on each side of the uterus, and each ovary is attached to the pelvic wall as well as to the uterus by ovarian ligaments. Okay, each ovary is attached to the wall, pelvic wall, as well as to the uterus with help of the ovarian ligament. So ovary is not hanging in the abdominal cavity. It is attached to the uterus as well as to the pelvic wall by ovarian ligament. Okay, ovary is not freely hanging in the abdominal cavity. It is attached to the uterus as well as to the pelvic wall by ovarian ligament. Okay, so 1 ovary is present on each side of the uterus, and each ovary is attached to the pelvic wall as well as to the uterus by ovarian ligament. So in this manner, ovary is not hanging freely in the abdomen. Okay, and you can see the presence of ovarian ligament in the figure of the female reproductive system. Okay, in the figure of female reproductive system, ovarian ligaments are shown. Then ovary has an envelope which is known as tunica albuginea. Ovary has an envelope called tunica albuginea. Same type of envelope is found in the testis also. There also it is known as tunica albuginea. Here also it is known as tunica albuginea. So envelope of the ovary is known as tunica albuginea, and shape of the ovary is oval, and its size is 2 to 4 centimeter. Okay, so dimensions are 2 to 4 centimeter. Shape is oval, and it is enveloped by its envelope is known as tunica albuginea. Then ovary has a region known as stroma. Ovary has a region known as stroma. What is stroma? Entire region which is present inside the tunica albuginea. Entire region which is present inside the tunica albuginea is known as stroma. So this is tunica albuginea. See, this ovary is oval in shape. This ovary is oval in shape, and this is known as the tunica albuginea. The outermost envelope, this envelope is known as tunica albuginea. So this entire region inside the tunica albuginea, is known as stroma. It is known as stroma. But this stroma is divided into 2 parts. This stroma is divided into 2 parts. The outer part and inner part. Okay, stroma is divided into 2 parts, outer part and inner part. Outer part is known as cortex and inner part is known as medulla. Okay, so inside the tunica albuginea, the entire region is known as stroma. But this entire region, this stroma, is divided into two parts: outer cortex part and inner medulla part. Okay, outer cortex part and inner medulla part. And this region of ovary is known as hilum. This region is known as hilum, and through hilum, blood vessels enter into the ovary. Okay, artery will enter into the ovary and vein will come out from the ovary. Okay, so blood vessels come in and come out through the hilum. Okay, or they enter and they exit through the hilum. Okay, so blood vessels will enter into the ovary as well as they will exit from the ovary through hilum. So this is about hilum. And you can see the developing follicles inside the ovary. We will talk about this in the next videos. So this is primary follicle, this is secondary follicle, this is tertiary follicle, this is Graafian follicle. And when the Graafian follicle ruptures, it gets converted into corpus luteum, and then corpus luteum degenerates after some time, or it may persist if the pregnancy is there. Okay, so this is primary follicle, secondary follicle, tertiary follicle, Graafian follicle, and Graafian follicle will rupture on the 14th day of the menstrual cycle, and then it will get converted into corpus luteum, and then corpus luteum may get degenerated after 7th day of the ovulation, or it may persist for 3 months. Okay, we will talk about that later. So this is all about ovary and its structure, and this is all about the introduction of the female reproductive system. Okay, we will talk about accessory ducts in the next slide. What we have learned here, we have talked about accessory glands of the male reproductive system, and in that we have talked about one pair of seminal vesicle. We have also talked about prostate and one pair of bulbourethral gland. And then we have talked about male external genitalia, and then we have talked about parts of the female reproductive system. One pair of ovaries there, accessory ducts are there, external genitalia and mammary gland. And here we have given the description of the ovary. Now we will talk about accessory glands of the female reproductive system in the next slide. Okay, chalo. So students, we said that female reproductive system is made up of one pair of ovary, it has accessory ducts, it has mammary glands, and it has external genitalia. So 4 parts are there in female reproductive system. Okay, one pair of ovary, accessory ducts, external genitalia, and mammary glands. Out of that we have covered ovary, we have learned regarding ovary. Okay, and now we are going to talk about accessory ducts of the female reproductive system. Okay, so uterus, fallopian tube, cervix and vagina constitute accessory ducts of the female reproductive system. Okay, accessory ducts of female reproductive system are uterus, fallopian tube, cervix and vagina. Okay, so these are fallopian tubes, these are two fallopian tubes. This is uterus, okay, this is cervix, and this part is known as vagina. Okay, so all these together will form accessory ducts of the female reproductive system. Uterus, fallopian tube, cervix and vagina will form accessory ducts of the female reproductive system. Now let's talk about uterus first. Uterus is inverted pear shape. Okay, its shape is inverted pear like. Okay, the shape of the uterus is like inverted pear is there. Okay, so its shape is inverted pear like shape. Then it is located behind the bladder and in front of the rectum. The location of the uterus is in the pelvic region. It is located in the pelvic region, in front of the rectum and behind the urinary bladder. Okay, so it is located behind the urinary bladder and it is located in front of the rectum. And uterus is again attached to the pelvic wall by uterine ligament. Okay, we have said that ovaries are attached to the pelvic wall by ovarian ligament, and uterus is attached to pelvic wall by uterine ligament. So both uterus and ovaries are not free in abdominal cavity. They are not hanging in abdominal cavity. They are attached to the pelvic wall via uterine ligament and ovarian ligament. Okay, so uterus is attached to the pelvic wall via uterine ligaments. Then how many parts are there in uterus? Uterus has 3 parts: perimetrium, myometrium and endometrium. Outermost region is known as perimetrium, this middle part, which is thickest in nature, is known as myometrium, and this innermost part is known as endometrium. Okay, so uterus has three parts: perimetrium, which is the outermost region, myometrium, which is the middle region, and endometrium, which is known as innermost region. Okay, so perimetrium is thin in nature and it is protective in nature. Okay, perimetrium is thin and it is protective in nature. It is the outermost region of the uterus. Myometrium is thickest part of the uterus and it is made up of smooth muscles. This myometrium, this region is known as myometrium, and this myometrium is made up of smooth muscles, and these smooth muscles are required during the parturition. These smooth muscles are essential for parturition. During the parturition there will be contraction of uterus, and this contraction of uterus occurs because of the contraction of the smooth muscle. Okay, so the smooth muscles are essential for the contraction of the uterus during parturition. Smooth muscles of uterus are essential for contraction of uterus during the parturition. Then the innermost region is known as endometrium. Innermost part of the uterus is known as endometrium, and this endometrium is glandular in nature. Endometrium is glandular in nature. So innermost region is known as endometrium and it is glandular in nature, and this endometrium undergoes cyclical changes every month. Okay, this endometrium undergoes cyclical changes every month, and this endometrium helps in implantation of the embryo. This endometrium is essential for implantation of the embryo. So two things are related with endometrium. First, that it undergoes cyclical changes every month, and secondly, it is important for implantation of the embryo. So it undergoes cyclical changes every month. This endometrium, which is glandular in nature, it undergoes cyclical changes every month, which is known as menstrual cycle, and then it is essential for implantation of the embryo. So embryo is implanted in the endometrium of the uterus. Embryo is implanted in the endometrium of the uterus. So these are the parts of uterus. This is all about uterus. Uterus is inverted pear shaped. It is present behind the bladder and in front of the rectum. It is attached to pelvic wall by a uterine ligament. It has three parts: perimetrium, which is thin and protective; myometrium, which is thickest, which is made up of smooth muscle, and these smooth muscles are required for contraction of the uterus during the parturition. And then endometrium, which is glandular in nature, and it undergoes cyclical changes every month, which is known as menstrual cycle, and it is essential for implantation of the embryo. So this is all about uterus. Then this uterus opens into this region, which is known as cervix. This region is known as cervix. So uterus opens into this cervical region, and then cervix opens into vagina. Okay, so uterus opens into cervix, which in turn opens into vagina. Uterus opens into cervix, and this cervix in turn opens into vagina. So cervical canal and vagina together will form birth canal. This canal is known as cervical canal. So cervical canal and vagina together form birth canal. Cervical canal and vagina together form birth canal. Okay, so in cervix we don't have to say much. We will just say that uterus opens into cervix, and this cervical canal along with the vagina will form birth canal. Cervical canal along with the vagina will form the birth canal. Okay, so this is about cervix and vagina. Okay, cervix and vagina. This is all about cervix and vagina. So in this manner we have completed uterus, cervix and vagina. We have completed uterus, cervix and vagina. Now let's talk about fallopian tube. Fallopian tube. This is known as fallopian tube. This is one tube. This is second tube. Okay. So fallopian tubes are present in the female reproductive tract. So they are present in one pair. We have covered cervix, vagina and uterus. Okay. So three parts are over. Now we will talk about fallopian tubes, which are also known as oviduct. Okay. Fallopian tubes are also known as oviduct, and they are present in one pair, and each arises from the lateral part of the uterus. See, this oviduct is arising from this lateral part of the uterus, and this is also arising from the lateral part of the uterus. So each oviduct or fallopian tube arises from the lateral part of the uterus, and then they run laterally towards the ovary. They will run after their origination. They will run laterally towards the ovary. So it runs laterally towards ovary. Each fallopian tube arises from the lateral part of the uterus and then runs laterally towards the ovary. And how many parts are there? It has 3 parts: isthmus, ampulla and infundibulum. 3 parts are present in the fallopian tube. They are isthmus, ampulla and infundibulum. The part of the fallopian tube which is attached to the uterus is known as isthmus. This region is known as isthmus. This region is known as isthmus. And this isthmus is attached to the uterus. This isthmus is attached to the uterus. So isthmus is attached to the uterus. Ampulla, this region is known as ampulla, and it is the widest part of the fallopian tube. Ampulla is the widest part of the fallopian tube. Okay, so this region is known as ampulla. And the third part is known as infundibulum. This region, this funnel-shaped region, is known as ampulla. This funnel-shaped region is known as ampulla, and ampulla gives from ampulla fimbri will arise. From infundibulum, fimbri will arise. So this region is known as ampulla, this region is known as infundibulum, this is known as ampulla. Okay, so this is ampulla, this is infundibulum, and from this infundibulum, these finger-like projections will arise, and these finger-like projections are known as fimbri. These finger-like projections are known as fimbri. These are known as fimbri. Okay, so 3 parts are there in fallopian tube. Isthmus, this part is known as isthmus, which is attached to the uterus. Then the widest part of the fallopian tube is known as ampulla, and then a funnel-shaped region is there which is known as infundibulum. From infundibulum, a finger-like projection will arise which is known as fimbri. From infundibulum, finger-like projections arise which are known as fimbri. And fimbri are not attached to the ovary. Okay, so fimbri are not attached to the ovary. So this is all about accessory ducts of the female reproductive system, and here we have talked about uterus, fallopian tube, cervix and vagina. We have talked about uterus, fallopian tube, cervix and vagina. So this is one pair of ovary, and this one pair of ovary is attached to uterus by uterine ligament, with the help of uterine ligament. Okay, it is attached to the fallopian tube also, and it is attached to the pelvic wall also. In this manner it is attached to pelvic wall. Okay, so they are not hanging freely in the abdominal cavity. They are attached to pelvic wall as well as uterine wall via uterine ligament. Okay, and this is uterus, which is inverted pear shaped, and it has 3 parts: perimetrium, myometrium and endometrium. And then we have talked about cervix and vagina, and we have also talked about fallopian tube. And length of the fallopian tube is 10 to 12 centimeters. Length of the fallopian tube is 10 to 12 centimeters. Okay, and it has 3 parts: isthmus, ampulla and infundibulum. From infundibulum, finger-like projections arise which are known as fimbri. Okay, so this is all about accessory ducts of the female reproductive tract, and we are still remaining with axonal genitalia and mammary gland, and we will talk about that in the next video, and then we will move to the spermatogenesis. Okay, so I am keeping up to this only. Please watch the video 2-3 times and then read it from the textbook. Okay, chalo, best luck.